6 o'clock, we'll officially call this meeting in order. Will you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mayor, Max came into the office today and talked to Corey, so he just walked in. Never mind.
He made it, you said?
Yep, he's walking in the door.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is anybody here to address any public comments that aren't on the agenda or just for the agenda item? Okay. No public comments. How about the consent agenda? Any questions? If not, we'll move forward with a motion to accept.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Roundtable personnel policy.
Mayor and members of council, it's customary for an agency or a company to revise their personnel policies every so often. I think we're on our 4th or 5th year. Is that right, Corey?
I think that's right.
Like 2018,
Yeah,
19?
Sid would have been here when we revised it last.
So I've had a running list of things that we've needed to update over the past couple of years. So it's time for us to get the revisions in place. I did make a summary for everyone, and I would like to run through the summary, and then we can open everything up for discussion, if that's okay.
Guys, just so you know, I printed these on front and back because it was fairly long. I didn't want to I tried to save a little bit of paper.
You tried to trick us to think it was short, didn't you?
Yeah, you know.
It worked.
And I would like to apologize, this red line copy, it does look a little bit messy, but I'll try to go over as much as I can with you. So just a couple of housekeeping items as far as punctuation, grammar, spelling errors, also the table of contents. As we go through the revisions, I will update all of those. So just as a housekeeping item. Getting into the bulk of the sections, the acknowledgement form or page, I took out all the dates in it, and I just put a simple statement that this personnel policy shall supersede all of the previous. Simple. As far as Chapter 1, Section 6, which is background checks, our insurance carrier is very adamant about motor vehicle reports, driving records. That is a common practice whenever we hire someone. Part of our background check is checking their driving record as well. Randomly throughout the year, our insurance carrier does MVRs as well, so I wanted to make sure that was in the personnel policy so all of our personnel are aware of that. We did add to the anti-nepotism policy fraternization as well. As far as a romantic relationship with a subordinate and a supervisor, we did add that supervisors and subordinates that are in a romantic relationship shall either not work within the same department, or the supervisor shall not have direct supervision over that specific subordinate. Chapter 1, Section 10, Personnel Action Authority. These are PAFs These are forms. Anytime we have a change for an employee, whether it be a new hire, a transfer, a promotion, a demotion, annual increases, merit increases, these are forms that I take care of as a HR manager. The department head signs off on those for approval, and then the administrator signs off on those as well. Currently, in the policy book, it didn't state that we have personnel action forms for increases or merit increases, so I just added that as well. Chapter 2, Section 6, the pay plan classification. As far as the actual list of our positions, I deleted that. The reason being, in Chapter 2, Section 1, it states that list is available through HR. I'm going to go ahead and skip down a little bit. Chapter 3, Section 1, the pay plan itself. I believe the last time we had a wage study was 3 years ago, I believe. So after talking to Matt and Corey to keep us on track, we did add that our pay plan should be reviewed at a minimum of every 3 years. Another reason for taking the actual position list out of the policy book is this may change every 3 years, whatever we do a wage study. And then again, like I said, it is available through HR. I have copies whenever anyone requests that. Merit increases, Chapter 3, Section 7. I just added in here that the consideration for merit increases is at the discretion of the department head and approved by the administrator. Kind of falls in line with our personnel action forms. Health insurance, this is just an update to Chapter 4, Section 5. I just revised that the premium responsibility, before it was listed out specifically, it was very old, that the city paid a certain amount and then the employee paid a certain amount for single versus family. I just added that would be reviewed annually, which it is whenever we get our policy renewal. Time off benefits, Chapter 5. I just added a little verbiage in here that all time off should be used in quarter-hour increments. Chapter 5, Section 3, also time off benefits. I deleted the paid holiday list and the specific 92 hours. Again, that's something that we review annually. Chapter 5, Section 5, time off benefits. The donation of sick leave for employees that are in need. Previously, or currently, employees can donate vacation leave only. We actually added that they could now donate vacation leave, personal leave, comp time, and holiday as well. Currently, it states that an employee can only donate a max of 4 hours. We increased that to a whole shift schedule for them, which would be 8 hours for an 8-hour employee, 12 for police officers, and 24 for firefighters. We also revised it that the donation of sick leave may not exceed the amount after the employee that is receiving the donated time, after they've exhausted all of their leave. That it may not exceed the amount from their exhaustion of their sick leave or their time off benefits to what gets them to their CAPERS long-term disability. So it could be different for different employees. It could be 100 hours donated, 20 hours donated, but it's to get them to that long-term disability with CAPERS. On Chapter 5, Section 9, FMLA, this was just an update. Mainly it is the military leave that I updated and the certification for returning to duty. General Policy, Chapter 7, Section 1, I just specified that a leave payout may also pertain to a resignation and termination of an employee. Chapter 8, Section 5, under Conduct for Smoking, we just had smoking currently, but we also added e-cigarettes, vaping to this section as well, which is now pretty much standard. Chapter 8, Section 6, under Appearance, all of our departments establish their own dress code, so I just added that into the policy. Chapter 8, Section 11, Financial Responsibility. State statute allows that an employer may pass along an administrative fee to employees that have a garnishment order. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands, this does not pertain to state withholdings, which would be child support or its maintenance, as it's stated now. So this is only going to be a garnishment from a debt collector. So state statute allows $10 per a 30-day period, excuse me. I, as the HR manager, I handle all of the garnishments. They are very time-consuming for me, plus postage, supplies, things of that nature. So it would be nice to gather some of that money back for the city. Harassment under Chapter 11. This was a complete revision, and I did update the title to non-harassment policy. Under Chapter 13, Section 3, under corrective action, this section, we did note that corrective actions shall be based on a case-by-case situation. Chapter 13, Section 4, also under corrective action, we completely simplified this from our current policy. It's a little time-consuming, and with this revision, this gives our department heads more authority on verbal warnings, letters of counseling, written reprimand. Only when we're getting into suspension, termination is when the department head comes into administration for guidance and for discussion. Chapter 13, Section 6, under the grievance policy. This one was a big change, but it was needed as well. We wanted to move the grievance process along a little quicker than what it's currently stated. So as far as the timeline, we are giving the employee 5 days to file their grievance. As far as administration, the department head, we're giving everyone 7 days from the time the grievance is received to respond to that grievance. It will just move the grievance along faster. At this current policy, we actually don't have a time frame for the employee.
Staff has a time frame to
of 14
have to respond.
days. Yeah. The last section I added, and I apologize, on the summary it actually says social media policy, but it is actually titled technology policy. We don't currently have one, and I worked with our IT director, Ryan Michael, and he helped us out with this. So now we'd like to add a technology policy to the handbook.
Did we have the league or Bob Johnson look over this as well for the legalities of it?
I have not yet, no.
Okay.
I have 3 questions. So, quarter-hour increments for leave, what do we do it in now? Just hours? It seems like a fiddly,
Right.
very specific, time-consuming way to do it,
Yeah, there are
but
some.
also gives flexibility to the employee.
Yeah, there are some employees that try to, I guess, set their time per minute. It doesn't really equate properly with our payroll system, so I just specified quarter hour.
So it's not going to be a huge burden on?
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
On the specified pay leave for resignation and termination, do we pay out leave on termination?
We do.
Because it's accrued benefits already. Sick leave, we wouldn't.
No, sick leave is.
Personal and vacation, we would.
Okay, because I was like, that seems unusual to
Right.
pay out.
No, we wouldn't
all
pay any
that.
sick
Okay.
leave out.
And then I want to clarify on the grievance policy, council response will be given within 7 calendar days of the hearing. Is that city council response?
So.
And I kind of wonder, how does that work with meetings that
council-
are every 2 weeks?
Sorry. The council actually has 30 days
Okay.
to convene from the grievance, and then after you convene, it's 7 days to respond to that employee
Okay,
with the
that makes a lot
grievance.
more sense to me.
Okay.
They are given Matt or one of us direction of how to respond back to that employee. So it's pretty easy to turn around in 7 days.
Okay, I'm comfortable with all of the changes. I do, except for one, and that's the garnishment clause. So in my mind, a little bit, it's kind of like bank overdraft fees, where you don't have any money and then they penalize you and take out even more. So these are employees who are, already having financial issues, and then this kind of adds just a little bit of a extra financial burden on them. And I understand your side of it. And is this something where just because we can, should we?
Understood.
It makes me a little uncomfortable. That's all I have.
I was thinking the same thing on the garnishment. I will propose an amendment to remove the garnishment $10 fee.
I would second that.
You have a motion and a second. Show of hands in favor?
I don't really know if we need, I saw Roxanne I don't know if we need a motion a second for any of that, do we, Matt? Just direction and how to rephrase the policy?
This is a policy, so any kind of change to the policy
But
would
it's gotta be
require
done by-
Need
some.
to be amended.
It's got to be done by
Yeah.
general ordinance anyhow.
Yeah.
We'll be bringing it back at the next meeting in full
So
form.
I think if the recommendation is going to be to take it out, we'll just take it out.
Right.
And then when we come back next meeting, if no one has any issues with it, we'll probably just put it on the consent agenda, and that'll be taken out. Now, I run through that again, please. We discussed this amongst ourselves a long time ago, so will you run through the garnishment again? Because I think that's a fee that we do incur that we are paying ourselves, we being the city.
Yes.
Is that right?
And mostly it's in postage, supplies, and time
Yeah.
to prepare those. Those are time consuming to prepare.
Yeah, they are.
And with correspondence
And
back
we're
and
happy
forth.
I'm happy to have someone else do it, but that is a cost we are incurring ourselves. And this is going to sound mean, but at some point, if there's a garnishment issue, it means the employee is not taking the responsibility for that action, and we are paying on top. We are paying a fee on top of that. I know that sounds mean, but that is a cost that we are incurring ourselves. So I would suggest you all keep it in.
Actually, the wages we're worried about are time. It's more of the actual cost too.
Yeah.
Just paper and postage and.
Communicating, and it's a pain.
I'm sorry, Mark?
Does this happen quite often?
No, it doesn't. I'll leave it at that.
It has happened before. There's a reason we put that in. And she came to me to specifically mention that as something that's a cost, albeit small, but it's still a cost we are incurring, or we have incurred and we will incur. And this just covers that
Pays every
cost.
2 weeks for city employees?
Yeah.
So it figures out about $5 per every 2 pay period. Now, years ago, when I was with the state, they were able to say, if we incur a bill during investigations, you have to charge more than $5 because the cost of printing a check was $5. So we do have an incurred cost. Do we have any idea? what that incurred cost is for time to issue a check. In today's world, it's probably more, your time is what, 10, 15 bucks maybe per paycheck.
Yeah.
So
I
$10
don't
per
know.
month on the other hand isn't
We
that much,
just,
but-
yeah, we just ordered checks in December, November, and I would literally have to put pen and paper and get you a figure on that.
My question would be, is it, let's say an individual has 3 of these, would you then charge $10 for each?
No, it's just a base.
You have to-
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's kind of where I was at. If the
And you
person-
said that was statutorily.
Yes,
It's limited to $10.
yes, yes.
So $5 per pay period for us.
Not a hill I'm really going to die on, but I would still favor removing it.
So consensus.
I mean, for me, it's similar to an extent with the statutes and everything with charging for Cora and Coma when people have requests and charging for the copies. And
Any other comments?
I don't think we gave them good marching orders on this.
I was gonna
Can
say,
we go around? Can we go around and?
Well,
and-
that's why I said it looks like consensus would be to take it out, is what I saw a while ago.
I'm fine with taking it out.
I am too.
I take Matt's recommendation too, though, so I'm kind of I'm leaning towards a nay.
So we have 4
I'm for keeping it.
for keeping it. On a split. I guess however you bring it back will determine how it's voted on, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring it back with it still in there.
Okay,
That's fine.
There you go.
That's fine.
And wean see what happens.
Again, it's not a make or break issue.
And if it becomes cumbersome, we can always just take it out.
Okay.
I mean, our intent will be to take this and send it to Bob for review, and then bring it back without the red line version, in a little
Yeah.
more condensed version,
Yeah.
and then the general ordinance for approval at the next meeting, so.
Any other questions or concerns?
Don't think so.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. All right, we're ready for the roundtable involving recycling.
All right, Mayor, this was mentioned by Councilor Lohman, I think at a meeting the end of last year, maybe in the December one. And then you had mentioned this is an item we need to discuss and make a decision on. So you have the information in front of you, a thumbnail of what we, and by we I mean me and Corey and Jason, we're the 3 guys that put together the budget sheet you have in front of you, similar to a budget sheet that we hand out for the budget season. If this is something that you all want to move forward with, we consider it its own utility, similar to solid waste. It would have its own fee, it would have its own staff. The projected costs we have, this is all in, $384,000. That cost is broken down with a driver and a staff of 2 recycling handlers, so it'd be 3 staff in total. This would be residential only. We get that one out there too. This would not be commercial, and this would be curbside recycling of all recyclable material. And that's the umbrella we went under. You can, and I won't go line item by line item through there. I will highlight equipment reserve funds, $30,000 a year for a compactor truck, put back in equipment reserve, and those things are going to cost $160,000. Probably buy a new one every 5 years.
We put it on basically the same rotation we would with like the trash trucks. I mean, it'd be essentially the same equipment, but and eventually you need to really have two to cycle them out or to rotate them in case you have a breakdown. I can tell you right now, we got one truck down at Schnoot of our sanitation trucks. Created a problem this morning when the guys were trying to help the other guys catch up. And yeah, you're going to end up with two of them eventually if you want to run that route.
And then on the budget sheet, pay close attention to recycling center building. Right now, we don't know where we would take the material. We kicked the tires with a few agencies, businesses in southeast Kansas. Jump in, Corey. The one in Pittsburgh never got back with us.
No, Jason was, and Jason, I apologize, Jason is under the weather and couldn't be here tonight. But yeah, Jason had been in contact with Pittsburgh and hadn't really got any return phone calls from them. We know basically what we've seen on the website, and I do think that that's a potential place to take it. I'm not real sure Burlington's open to taking much. I know the county's been working with them, trying to do that.
I know the county's talked with Burlington, and last I knew from David, they're not opposed to taking the cardboard. It'd have to be delivered by someone around here to get it there. You know, how long could they do it? Would they do it? They're in the same position as all other recycling utilities funding, and the cost, and I think it was a week or two ago, I don't know if you saw that Pittsburgh's looking for more money. That might be why you're not hearing from them. They're struggling financially.
No, I had not said that. Okay.
So my concern would be,
yeah,
you know, would they take it, but it'd be like a tipping charge like our landfill does.
Yeah.
So that
I'm sure
would
that.
be an added cost to take it to one of these other facilities.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have some sort of tipping fees based on what we take them.
At this point, with our inability to fund the highway rebuild, I can't really see spending $600,000 just to start the project up. You know, if we could get grants or we can look into those for that, I wouldn't be opposed. But at $600,000, there's a lot more needs down in the park. There's a lot more needs elsewhere in this community that we could spend that money on. That builds 2 or 3 splash pads, essentially, as well. Like, I think we could do better for the community with that.
Yeah, that would be one thing I was going to say, is if we would need the rest of 24 to ramp it up. And actually, sorry, John, I got ahead of you there. You're talking about $600,000. He's talking about the initial costs.
Yes.
That would be setting up a recycling center, because we thought we're going to pick it up. We don't have anywhere to take it right now. We're going to have to put it somewhere. So we're going to have to bale it. Hire staff of 2 to sort and bale. And then, so the other part was $400,000 was for a new building. I don't have my memo, so I'm going off of memory.
We based that size, if I remember right, we based that off of Seneca that you had referenced.
Nemaha County.
We
Nemaha
went in and
County.
scaled it on Google Earth,
We
kind of
base
get
it
a
off of their
size.
building. They have a drop-off site for all recycling material. And so we use the size of that building, and then cost it out from there. So that was $400,000 there for number one, building a building, but number two, we don't know where that building would go. And that would be if we couldn't find anything in town that was already existing.
When you mention the need for a compacting truck, I'm assuming, since you're talking roadside, all recyclables, that's a special built, not like our regular trash truck, because it would have a bin for glass and a bin for plastic.
Oh,
So there'd be
no,
different.
I think you can use the same truck. And I say that because one day would probably be glass, one day would be cardboard, one day would be plastics. And that truck would be able to go pick those up on that day. I mean, that, at least, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of the way we were looking at it when we were trying to figure out how we make that crew jive all week long and have that truck. But yeah, you're right, it's probably curbside, because we don't have room in the alleys to do it. And it would, I mean, right now we look at a 3-man crew, a driver and 2 guys on the back, because you got cars parked along the streets, and it'd be hardly, you couldn't run that arm in there. So you're probably going to have physical labor to load the truck every time. rather than an arm. This has nothing to do with the implementation of uniform trash containers or anything in it.
Corey, did you guys consider just a recycling center? I mean, that would take a lot of, some of the work out of our hands. If we just had a center and we manned it and people could bring in cardboard or plastic or glass, whatever, and just throw it in the appropriate bin.
So that would be basically the same, we could wean the truck out and the pickup crew out, right? We'd still have to have a facility.
Oh, sure.
And we still have to send it somewhere. Because right now, as I've told you all, right now, we don't know where it would go.
Right, I think we could bring down that cost a little bit, Joel, but I don't think it's going to bring it down a lot. To me, that's the scaled down version you get to at some point. You have that center, and does Seneca pick up, Matt? They don't, do they? So it's basically what you're talking about. It's that center. It has bins. You have a 2 or 3 man crew. They go in there and they bail it up as they need, and then we ship it off.
Yeah, well, in the budget sheet, $155,000. That's what we think the center would cost to staff.
So
I saw that. So Matt, based on what you saw in Seneca or any other input here, does the recyclable material have any cash value?
A little bit, yeah. We don't know that off the top of my head. I know that when I was in El Dorado, they had curbside recycling. They don't have it anymore. They got rid of it because the commodities prices went down and financially it didn't make any sense. So they got rid of it. And I don't know what goes on. It keeps saying it's Seneca. It's not Seneca. It's Nemaha County. The center's in Seneca,
right,
but it's a county function. And you can go and drop off all material. What happens after that, I don't know.
Joe, you asked that question, and based on my comments earlier about Pittsburgh, it's noted that it's more the benefit to the trash issue, the recycling, save the planet. It's not a financial. You can't open it as a for-profit and expect to pay yourself money.
I wasn't expecting to be for profit. I was just expecting to get something.
I've heard that. Burlington, somewhere in the range of after they budget and then they sell items, it's still like a $240,000 that they have to raise to fund it. And besides Pittsburgh, there's a second company that recently talked in the state of Kansas that they're financially strapped. They're having to find more money to keep it going. So there is funds that will have to be definitely
Burlington
noted to
is
it.
Not Burlington. The center, it's like Seneca. It's Coffee County. It's not.
Yeah.
It just happens to be the centers in Burlington, I believe.
But it's not a line item that supports itself.
Yeah, I think there's, and Karen can probably speak to what Rotary went through or what the group went through. There's probably some value in the cardboard depending on the time. You're probably going to stockpile a lot of it and get a semi-load before it's going to be worthwhile for you to do anything with. And then the building gets bigger probably, or your storage tends to be an issue.
That's what Abilene came across. They started out with a 7,000 square foot building, and then they found out. Cans, and then you got your Gaylord boxes that you have to store your glass in. If you crush it, you can put more glass into it.
So I think this is more of a county issue because it's the county landfill that we're trying to assist with, and just with Nemaha County, with Coffee County. Franklin County has their own facility. It is all personal drop-off. My mom goes every Saturday, drops off her few containers that she has, and they have 2 people there that oversee when you bring in aluminum cans. They cut people checks for that, but also I grew up in Hillsborough, town of 2,000 people. A lot smaller than here, and it was volunteer-led. The city had the land for them. There were domes that people had to sort themselves, although volunteers from the local churches, from the local schools, volunteered to help the elderly take their recyclables to those containers. City called somebody to come pick up the containers and switch it out. I don't know what costs there were, but and so the third way I've seen recycling is Johnson County. Yes, there's curbside, but they've also got their big drop-off centers. Once again, it's on you to sort everything. And so out of the three, two of them are all county-led. And so I think that this needs to be more of a county push than it is a city of Iola, because when we start getting people from Gas or Humboldt coming to ours, then we're taking all of their stuff instead of their cities doing it.
And then when we're doing that, we're putting the burden of the cost on the city taxpayers and utility payers. I cannot even, in my own conscience, think to raise somebody's utility bill $200 a year, because the proposal is to increase sanitation by 100%. And I'm a proponent to have a drop-off spot, but like everybody is saying, all of these current facilities are underwater. Fredonia is another one. They had a program too, and they shut it down. And again, just like I said at the beginning of all of this, it needs to be a county-led effort with the city collaborating. And I agree with Councilman Wells as far as being a better steward of our money and doing things that are going to be more beneficial to our citizens.
Now, the county has, if you've all kept track, they've started some small recycling out at the landfill with concern to batteries and electronics, and they have discussed cardboard and such. But there again, they are heeding on the side of caution. When Dave Lee visited the different recycling places, the biggest warning he received was start small. Don't jump in as big as this due to cost and overhead. And you have on the table, the last I knew, it's still on the table, the one offer from the county that if we supply a person, they'll supply a person to volunteer weekly. Now, David Lee's no longer chair. I don't know if Bruce still feels that way. Haven't heard him speak yet about recycling. So that may be something that, the county's willing to look at the landfill. But there again, they would probably have the same issue. What size of building? Where do you store the cardboard? That seems to be one of the biggest factors. If you're going to speak, you need to come up here, Karen, so that the public can hear you.
From experience, Karen Gilpin here in Iola, and part of the recycling committee for the last, 10 years anyway, or however long we've been playing with this. But we stored our cardboard outside. After we made the bales, it did not have to be stored inside. After you bale it, we put the plastic outside as well. So, and then when we got enough to have a trailer load full, and I don't have Steve Strickler's out milking his cows, sorry. He's the one that did the calling and found people to transport, and he found people that would transport for less than the place we were sending it to would come up and get it. But it was a place down in Oklahoma that we sent things to and got a check for the materials. And we were sending bales of cardboard, paper, and number 1, number 2, and number 5 plastics. But you had to have a trailer load full to make it worth the drive and doing it. But they sat outside for several months before we got them all sent off. And we have a bunch out there that we're going to one of these weekends get out there and bale it. But it was just too much for the 4 of us that were kind of left doing it to do it over Christmas. So we stopped.
I'd like to share some thoughts. So I really like this plan. I don't think we should do it, but I like it. I think this is a level 7 plan that it would be, nice to eventually work up to it and have that happen, like residential pickup and things like that. But I don't think, we're there yet. So let's start lower down at level 1. So in this plan, I don't see any, this is us doing it alone, and there's no coordination with other municipalities or the county government in this plan, which is something that I'd like to see. Like, those costs, I'd like to, share some of those costs and efforts and coordinate with those communities. I've heard people say, this should be a county-led program. This is a county-led program. I refer to, I'm fine with us being the leaders in this, and bringing it together. But I think that, that coordination with the other, groups needs to happen to save costs, so we can share costs. It's funny about the sustainability of it, though. All these cities have dropped it because it's not sustainable to be sustainable with our resources, and there's a bit of irony in that. I would be in favor of collection center. I'm not sure where it is, and I'd like to reach out to those other organizations like the county and do a search here, maybe see if like Strickler would lease that building that he has. We could throw in a few improvements to it, shared with some of the other organizations to bring it up to where it's usable, but then our initial investment in this is minimal, absolute minimal. And then once we do it for a while, see how it goes, then make the decision, do we want to, increase any funds we put into it or expand it, and then take a stepwise approach, just starting off with something like cardboard, milk bottles, and aluminum. If people give us aluminum, that's great. That's good money in that. And that's kind of where I'd like to see this focus shift initially, rather than a full-on every single thing, pick up. I think we looking at these numbers, it's clear that's not financially sustainable. So I'd like to start small and then coordinate as we do it with the other organizations. So that's what I have to share.
Matt, what would be the cost, though, even just to run that center? You said 150?
Well, 155 was all material with a staff of 2 sorting. Just a collection center, will people drop it off?
You're still going to have people there. We're still going to have to have
Are we going to have
there.
that thing staffed, or are we not going to have it staffed?
Somebody's going to have to staff it, or it's going to be literally.
Everyone's going to have to bail.
Right.
But I think, if we're only collecting cardboard and something else, like, I don't think we need to have somebody there watching over it.
Somebody's going to have to sort, though, because we've tried some recycling at the college. Every one of those bins becomes a trash can. I mean, you're going to find along your side of your aluminum gum, diapers, everything else. And that's at a relatively small scale, too. And with people that, even with the different little bends and cans and shapes.
We were looking at this. I tried to find I know there's some companies up at least in the metro, that have those roll-off type recycling deals. I couldn't find any that would, because in my vision, rather than have a distribution or a collection center, why can't we start even smaller than that and have a place like Walmart parking lot or Orscheln's or start those roll-off bins? But I couldn't find.
I wouldn't be opposed. They wouldn't. No, Corey, they wouldn't call us back either.
Right.
We contacted multiple ones, and they wouldn't call us back.
I wouldn't be opposed to that to start, but I think even the collection center is probably bigger than we want to start with. I wouldn't be opposed to being 3 or 4 of those bins if we can get them in different places, the college and other locations. But
people using them, that's the bad thing.
And then we're also spending other people's money too. We're saying put it in a Walmart parking lot. Well, what if they say no? Well, we don't want that there. Yeah,
no doubt.
Are we going to put that on city property and deal with the stuff? I think John's point's a good one, and it's one that I've been trying to make. In my time in El Dorado, it was a lot of splitting trash that was put out during recycling day from the actual recyclable material. And there was a building where they did that, and the staff overturn was a lot because it was overwhelming to work inside that facility. The stench, the conditions, it was overwhelming at times, and so having the recycling center staffed was a constant issue, and I'm with John. I think people are going to drop off anything and everything. There will be people that will drop off recyclable material, but for us to say that that's the only thing that's going to be dropped off there, no, I think we need to open our eyes to that. I think we're going to be having staff members. My fear with that is we're going to have staff members spending a lot of time throwing away trash.
It'll be a lot like the compost facility was back when we had it open. It was a great facility, but we had to end up putting a couple dumpsters out there because people would throw trash in the compost or would throw it in the brush piles, and yeah.
No, that's a good example. Let's hope they don't get on fire the way that compost sites did.
Well, Karen?
I don't think anybody thinks this
Karen, a lot of this is talking about the problem sorting. So you ran an unattended recycling center.
Yes.
So what was your experience with?
3 years we did that, and we would have to go out weekly and sort, yes, and there was trash put in, not a lot, and over that 3 years, it got better. We did put up some cameras, and there were people that if they brought trash and they had their name on any of it in there, I took it to their home and said, we really don't appreciate this. And I'll tell you, they didn't do it again.
No, I don't, and that is not something I suggest city staff.
But I'm telling you, there are
Karen.
a lot of people that really want to have it.
But it was a problem, but it wasn't like a reason not to do it.
It wasn't huge, and it got better as time went on. If people want it, I think that they will help with it. I think that we don't need to go full swing, like you said. I think that if we have people bring their recycling, that's a good starting point. And then bail it. All of our you talked about the tin cans and things, we took them to Ray's and got the money from Ray's, so we didn't bail those separately.
Just because a lot of people are going to take them other than the true recyclers,
right,
they're going to take them out there anyhow.
But that was easy and quick. And actually, the money from that we were giving to the schools. So, you can do whatever, but we tried to keep it as simple as we could. But it certainly, I think, kept a lot out of the landfill. I think it'd be interesting to see how the last 2 months, have you seen an increase in trash with your trash?
I visited with one of the businesses here in town that I knew when I volunteered for picking up cardboard, always had a lot. And so initially, the person I talked to was very against the program because they didn't want the added cost. And so I asked them, how is the behavior changed? Because as a business, they have to pay for their trash removal. And she said, well, we used to just have, put our trash in a box, and like once every week or two we'd take that out, or have someone come pick it up. But now we have to have a dumpster, and they have to come every week. So they're spending $100 a month on trash that they weren't paying before. And so recycling for them would actually probably be a cost saver.
Yeah, but we don't do commercial.
Right, but we're not doing commercial, but I'm just saying, in certain businesses, but like there's nothing stopping a business from taking a load of cardboard to be baled, right?
Fair. And
then it could be enough, if someone's enterprising enough to go scoop it up from businesses and collect, $50 a month from, 10, 15 businesses to haul it for them. I don't care. It gets it recycled and gets it down there.
Cardboard was definitely the biggest issue and something that we had to pick up at least once a week.
Yeah.
From all the different businesses, but we wouldn't have had that much from just the public bringing it in. If you're going to bail it, you about have to have businesses involved. Which we wouldn't be doing. But if we did it with the county, and I really agree with you there, that we need to have the county involved as well.
Yeah.
Ideal location, if you really want to have a center, is the landfill when it comes in, separate it, in my opinion. I don't think you want it.
Nobody's going to take their stuff out there. I'd drive it to Garnett before.
If they truly believe in the process.
Why would you go to Garnett first?
Well, it's on my way to Kansas City if I'm going up there, and I'll take it when I have a full load.
Why do you think people want to go to the landfill?
I don't think people want to drive out to the landfill. And the traffic on those roads, if people, I just don't think people would be willing to do it. I think it needs to be somewhere where people have other people around and somewhere here in the city. And the facility we have is really pretty well situated.
But if they're passionate about the whole reason to recycle, they will take it where the recycling is being accepted. I mean,
I just don't think
it's
that is a
just-
good place to get people to take it out. You're not going to have people do that, I don't believe.
So where do we go now? Like, what's the next steps?
Well, I mean, this was a discussion item, so not expecting any kind of action. So could continue the discussion. I think we being the staff, we're going to need some kind of guidance on what you'd like to see coming back, if you want to discuss it any further.
At most, I could say if we could find a couple of the kind of dump carts or whatever, and we could find those locations, I'd be amenable to kind of looking into that idea. But that's my top end on it right now.
So finding a location, not building, right? So
I'm talking kind of
The dumpsters.
the dumpsters,
Roll-off type things.
the roll-off type
Like
stuff.
collaborating with Walmart and having it in the
Or-
corner of their
or-
parking lot.
Or maybe one of the school district's lots, or,
Oh, and we have some different lots too, if we were to
Right.
do that. I mean, we could put one at the warehouse or the water plant or something like that too, if it's a roll-off.
right.
But
That's kind of my top end on this right now.
Yes.
I'm envisioning,
That he threw
Karen, and
all of their stuff
I've
in.
looked at them on the internet. It's, you see the big roll-off
have dividers
containers that they
within
take for, right, they have sections, and then they would, basically, we'd either have a truck to haul it to the city to somewhere else, or somebody to pay. See it, but I couldn't find anybody to even talk to about it.
That would be the idea, I'd say, to explore more.
And I know they used to have them. I want to say Walmart used to have them here years ago. They were big green, if I remember right, they were big, like, green containers, but
Even the Lions Club had the yellow ones
Right.
to drop off
And that
clothing
would
and
fill
stuff.
up, you'd be doing that every week or less. I mean,
well, with cardboard you would, for sure, if the commercial businesses put it in there.
even people, the amount of cardboard that you're getting now would fill that very quickly. Would you consider looking at where we've got it now and doing some help with that building? And, I mean, we've got all of the bins and everything out there. We could probably do better with labeling and having some people that would help with the recycle. I think there are some of us that would help with some volunteering if we weren't doing it all by ourselves. And
Is this building you're referring?
Taking a hornet's nest, but what's going on with that building? I don't know much about it.
nothing is going on now.
It's the old rendering building from back in the Tyson chicken days.
And it's
and it's-
owned by the gas station.
Yeah, Gratz Peters that owns Pete's owns it. And
It's stuff
honestly,
full
the
of
building,
cardboard,
he had a demo permit to demo it at one time. I mean, structurally, the sides are good, but the roof's probably terrible on it, is my guess.
And we
And I've not been in it for
talked about maybe
years. but-
patching the roof some so it
Yeah.
wouldn't leak quite as badly because it does leak. And it has no air conditioning. And
It's not going to go anywhere,
electric.
believe me. It's concrete that's, yeah.
It's there.
Some kind of lighting. I thought we compensated you folks regarding running power.
Paid some utility bills.
Up to a certain amount, I
Up
think.
to
Towards the
$500.
utility every month
Okay.
for the compactor.
And we put a new service in for Steve.
Got you.
We wear headlamps so you can see after dark.
I also would like to see us research a little bit further on the drop-off containers, the roll-offs. Start there and see how well it's received and move on from that.
I agree.
And legality-wise, maybe get an opinion from our attorney on, since that building's owned by somebody else, what kind of liability that is if the city were to come in does Pete's sign it over to the city if we were to look at something like that? Because I would have a concern just walking in there and agreeing to make upgrades when it's a personal individual's
Don't own it,
property.
and-
So
yeah.
I'd like a legal opinion on that.
Have to be some kind of
And-
a lease agreement.
No, there would have to be a lease, and I also wouldn't, I'm not going to assume that the lease would be for zero either.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So you've got some direction. In the meantime, I'll reach out to the county to see their status and where they're at and what their involvement is, if any desire to move forward. See if there's anything that we could do jointly with the county.
Will do.
Okay? Yeah. Thank you for attending, guys.
Thank you.
Anything else on recycling? Everybody ready to move on? All right. New
Need to
business.
speak about this, or can I just make the motion?
New business, it's just I think everybody's.
It's just a formality,
Max is
guys.
new. I don't think he has any questions about it, where we're at with.
I'll make a motion to approve 2024-06, authorizing City Administrator Matt Reeder or Assistant City Administrator Corey Shinstock, and authorizing the necessary document, or signing the necessary documents pertaining to the Cedarbrook 3rd Edition land sale to Lakeview Investment Properties.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. About 10 minutes. Okay.
I don't have that.
She's, I think Joel's got it.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 10 minutes pursuant to personnel matters of non-elected personnel, KSA 75-4319B1. The purpose of the executive session is to discuss an individual employee's employment and shall include the mayor and city council. The regular meeting shall reconvene in the city council chamber at 7:06.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right. No action following executive session. We'll move on. Council administrator reports. How about we start with you, Mark? Nothing? Nothing? Thank you. Nick?
I want to express how disappointed I am with city staff. So I come from northern Illinois, the land of ice and snow and the midnight sun. And school was canceled today because of the ice. And so the road traffic was going to be low. So I was getting ready to turn off my traction control and go out on the roads and practice my Scandinavian flick at every intersection. And I wasn't able to because all of the roads were sanded down and salted. I couldn't have any fun on the way to work.
You should have came out on the county road by me.
So you're salty.
Yeah. So I was so looking forward to sliding into those curves, and I planned my route, and I couldn't do it on any one of them. So thanks a lot, guys.
Don't scare us like that. You had our attention. Thank you. Max, anything?
Should have came to my driveway because it was slick.
My driveway, I almost fell 20 times getting in my car.
I guess I should concur with Dr. Lohman over there. I apparently am going to be going to work tomorrow because we've salted and sanded all the roads, so that's a real bummer for me as well. So kudos on all the work, though. I know it's tough to be
Honestly,
out
we
there.
only did the main thoroughfares.
it's the thoroughfares, yeah.
It iced by noon. It was
gone.
It
I
was
know.
going.
Yeah.
Keyword main thoroughfares. You must be on the appropriate main thoroughfares
Down
because
White
they've all
Boulevard tomorrow, John?
they've all seen them. Joelle?
I will third the motion. I wish that I wouldn't have fallen in front of my salon, but, that was all good. It was a perfect time to go to Walmart, though, in and out. No, their parking lot was nice and good, too, so, no, other than that, everything's great.
Joel?
I just want to express my appreciation to our employees who are out there working in the weather, whether it's the utility people or also our folks in uniform, keeping us safe every day.
Trash guys, that's cold on the back of a trash truck.
I was watching that this morning.
Really cold specifically, yeah.
And I wanted to take a stocking cap out to the one on the back of the trash truck today. He did not have a stocking cap on. Where was his
A couple of those
mother?
guys are so used to it,
His mother.
You know, mothers tell them, you know how it is.
it had to be Kendall.
I was about to say,
He's a
I was about to
beast.
say the same thing. It had to be Kendall.
He's a beast, I'm telling you, on the back of that truck.
I'd like to add what Nick said about treating the roads. Not only did the roads get treated, but through the funeral home, we had a service this morning, and the crews were called up to do the road where the graveside was, and that's really, that's above and beyond. That's really appreciative that Berkeley called out the crews to treat for that funeral today. On 54, we need to address that plate. We need to fill the thing with concrete, something. I noticed the west lanes are starting to deteriorate now.
Is that direction?
It is. I'm telling you, here's my two concerns. You've got the two metal plates that are there. What if some motorcyclist isn't paying attention and squeezes his tire between the gap of the two plates? Now, if you look at the west side lane, the inside westbound lane is starting to cave in now.
Yeah, and Corey, and we've discussed it internally, and Corey, jump in whenever you want. We know it too, and it's annoying. But remember, anytime we've tried to do something, KDOT has flat out said, no, you can't do it. What you suggested, we've suggested.
We had a plan to go in there and take the plate and the grates off and put two pipes in it temporarily and basically flowable fill over the top of it. KDOT wanted an engineering study to make sure it wasn't going to flood the highway. And I'm like, guys, it's a temporary fix.
In our rebuild study, what does it show to do with that?
It's going to be diverted. There won't be anything there. It basically, there'll be an inlet point on the north side to gather it. It'll run kind of east down in front of Casey's, get to First Street and go south and outlet into South First Street.
So if we just do it, like, what are the consequences for that? They're like, are they going to be like, put it back the way it was?
Actually, I kind of have some experience with something like that, so I'll tell you my story. And this happened in Seneca. I found out after the fact. I was told I okayed it. I still don't remember okaying it, but here's what happened. There's one stoplight in Seneca. It's on Highway 36. It's north side of town. Highway 36 cuts the city in half on the north side. I'm sorry, it's east-west thoroughfare on the north side of town. The one stoplight's at 6th Street, and 6th Street is one of the main thoroughfares in town. And there was a project on Highway 36, and on the southwest corner, trucks were cutting the corner and going over the curb and damaging some curb. Well, one day there wasn't, and then the next day there was. A giant bollard got installed, and I didn't know. Again, I was told that I okayed it. I don't remember doing that. And one day it wasn't there, and then the next day it was. And so I had a few questions from my staff on how it got there, and they said, well, you okayed it. I thought, well, all right, since it's not our right-of-way, it's similar here. 54 is not city right-of-way. That's KDOT's, and they own it, and they maintain it and all that stuff.
They don't maintain it. We've got an interlocal agreement. We maintain it.
I'm sorry, with the IA, we maintain it, but they, like for a better word, own it. So we had discussed internally, should we just keep it up? They didn't say yes, and it's not our place to put anything there. And so we decided to keep it up and see how long it would take them to notice. Well, it took 3 days. And then we ended up getting kind of a hand slap and ended up getting a permit after the fact. Now, there's a big difference between what I just talked about and what is going on at 54.
Right.
And I'm not, just be open and honest with you all here. Corey and I have talked about what if we just did it? What if we just flat out did it? Not even told you all. And we just did it, and we dealt with the consequences. And for me, the consequences were a cross I didn't want to bear. Now, if you guys have some issues with it to the point of it's getting annoying, and I agree with it, we've gone to KDOT and we've asked before, and we've been told if you want to do anything, you have to spend a whole lot of money on engineering to do it. And I think we tried to reason with them, and it just came back, no, you can't just up and do it. What you suggested and what we have suggested makes too much sense. And that's kind of how I phrase it. It makes too much sense, and it's too easy to do that we need to government this thing.
I'm gonna reach out to
Steve said we need to do something about it, so if we get direction from the mayor, we can just have KDOT call you.
I would prefer plausible deniability on all of this.
And I'd be fine to talk to KDOT, because it's a dangerous situation with the
the
deteriorating.
gentleman I talked to.
And
I mean,
the
they
plates
changed
are
a lot.
irritating.
So
I hear them.
They're moving now. You know,
I hear them 2 blocks away at my
It-
house at
it-
3 in the morning.
When they weren't taking a little air, you could drive over pretty smoothly. The last couple of times I've gone over it,
and we just
Got that.
re-anchored them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The one. We
I'm sorry, say that
re-anchored
again?
them. We just re-anchored the north one, the one in the inside lane.
Well,
Now-
I'll say this, every time we ask KDOT to do something about it, they want engineering studies out the wazoo for it. It just
Well,
doesn't seem like-
what's their policy on putting a solid plate over something that's supposed to be allowing water in it? I mean, eventually, we need more plates on it.
Well, it's not necessarily to allow the water. It's so shallow that it had a grate on it. It really doesn't, it's really not intended to be an inlet. It's a bad collection point is what it is. It gathers leaves and everything else, and it's about this deep. So it's not real easy to clean. I'll make some phone calls to district now that there's some different powers that be down there and it's changed, and see if we can get, and honestly, Ronnie at Burns and Mac with the study, with the 54 plans, maybe we can find a alternative and get Ronnie to do a one set sheet that that gives me some KDOT, we'll give KDOT their
Off what they've
appease.
already done.
Right.
I'd appreciate that.
I'm not sure that it's easy, but we'll venture down that path.
It's deteriorating. I don't know if you've noticed that other plate on the westbound lane, but, okay.
It may not just be irritating, but it's becoming a safety issue.
It is.
I agree.
Yeah.
We tried to temper it until we did the highway, and unfortunately
that's tabled, so it's still there. Anything else for us, Corey?
I just was going to let you know that Chelsea hasn't had time to upload the flags, but our intent is to get them uploaded this week. We've been dealing with water leaks and reading meters, and the girls have been inundated over there. So she's going to get it up this week, hopefully. The intent is we'll close off the voting on March 6th at 5 probably. And we'll also, Roxana's got a box that we can do a handwritten ballot too. And then we'll get those results tallied, and my plan is to bring it back on the March 11th meeting with the final results for you guys and present it and get direct. That's where we're at. And that'd give us roughly 30 days of voting.
Sounds good. Matt, anything for us? Roxanne?
We have had a lot of people having water leaks. We question them, were you letting your water run? No. Open up your cabinets, let some heat. People need. And just to repair it, and with one water leak, it seems like there's 2 or 3 because. I mean, we're getting probably 30 to 35 calls a day since it turned cold.
Wow.
So that's all we've done is answer phones and send out guys to shut off meters and try and help customers. So I don't know how, get the word out, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion second, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, we had to replace the whole underneath all the copper.